Poplin. Here. Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Jeff Griffin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Item 1 is consider and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a second supplement to the replenishment agreement with the Seminole Economic Development Council and Seminole Municipal Authority in connection with the Sigma project financing. This item needs to be tabled. And Steve, do you want to give any explanation, or are we good? Just table it and move on.
They're one of our legal teams. We've got several in play, but one of our legal teams called just before we closed and said, hey, we haven't had time to review this. We'd appreciate it if you give us a few more days. So we're going to ask that we table it until they get a chance to review what they've done.
And we'll be asking to table these two items when it shows up in the other authorities or the council meeting as well. So with that, we have an item on the table.
Motion to table.
Second.
Roll call, please.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
Item 2, consider and adopt a resolution authorizing the sale, issuance, and delivery of bonds of the authority to provide funds to construct and equip a family entertainment and recreational center facility and retiring certain outstanding indebtedness of the Seminole Utilities Authority, designating bond counsel and financial advisor, authorizing sale thereof at a discount, waiving competitive bidding thereon, approving a sales tax agreement and a project agreement, and containing other provisions relating to. We also need to table that item.
That's right.
Motion to table.
Second.
Roll call, please.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
With that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. All right, we'll move on to the regular meeting of the Seminole Airport Authority. Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Trace Connor. Here. Tim Poplin.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Corey Crabtree. Dana Miller.
Here.
Jeff Griffin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
With no items removed from the consent agenda and no appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Airport Authority, I would again entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Move on to the regular meeting of the Seminole Gas Authority. Roll call, please.
Larry Church.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Corey Crabtree. Dana Miller.
Here.
Trace Connor. Here. John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Jeff Griffin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
With no items removed from the consent agenda and no appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Gas Authority, we again entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. We'll move on to the regular meeting of the Seminole Municipal Authority. Roll call, please.
Corey Crabtree. Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Tim Poplin. Here. Dana Miller.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Trace Connor. Here. Jeff Griffin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
With no items removed from the consent agenda and no appearances or petitions from the audience for the Seminole Municipal Authority, we'll move on to current business. Item 1, consideration and possible action to approve the conflict of interest policy for the Seminole Municipal Authority. Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do you have it stuck back?
Yes, behind me.
The whole wording there?
2, 3, 4.
Okay, we'll move on to number 2, current business. Consideration and possible action to approve for payment engineering fees in the amount of $144,827.10 to Wall Engineering for services associated with the wastewater treatment plant improvements project to be funded via the line of credit with First United Bank.
Mayor, I just have a question on this. So this went through the proper bid process, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Roll call, please.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Under approvals and acceptances, resolution, item 3, consider and adopt a resolution authorizing entering into a replenishment agreement with respect to the Seminole Economic Development Council's outstanding taxable special obligation tax agreement refunding revenue bond series 2016 by the execution and delivery of a second supplement to the replenishment agreement with the Seminole Economic Development Council and Seminole Municipal Authority in connection with the Sigma project financing and expressly approving the obligations and indebtedness created thereunder. Is this also the item you wanted to
Yes,
table?
sir.
Okay.
Motion to table. Second.
Roll call, please.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
Under bids, item 4, consideration and possible action to approve the sole bid of $190,633 from Craft Rentals for sewer line pipe bursting, a budgeted capital improvement project item.
Mayor, I have a question.
Please.
On these bids, again, are these posted publicly where, like on our website or in the newspaper or where anyone is able to view them?
Are you
I'm
talking
sorry, not
about
the
the
bids, but the
results of
art.
the bids or the proposal?
The proposal, the request for it?
Yes, yeah. We typically on projects like this, the Dodge report is the go-to for the companies that are capable of doing such a thing. But yes, we do advertise and make sure that everybody's got a fair chance.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. With that, we'll move into the regular meeting of the Seminole City Council. Roll call, please.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Cory Crabtree, Larry Church,
Here.
Trace Connor. Here. Chris Anson.
Here.
Eddie Foreman,
Here.
Dana Miller,
Here.
John Kramer. Here. Jeff Griffin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris, would you do our prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, we just ask that you would be with us tonight as we conduct our business, guide us in our decisions. We ask that you just bless the people of Seminole and continue to help us find ways to make it a better place. We ask these things through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Hopper.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
With no items removed from the consent agenda, and my understanding is we were going to have someone that wanted to talk tonight at the council meeting. Is that true? Okay. I need you to fill this out real quick. Your name and
This is a substitute for what's in your packet. It's a dated link. If you don't mind, take one and pass it down.
all right, normally we require people to sign in beforehand so we know, but I already knew that you wanted to speak, so that's why I went ahead and made that exception. So with that, we have David Post would like to speak at tonight's meeting. So please, David, go ahead.
Thank you. You know, the brother got a letter like this, a respected letter about vacant structures and land and all of this. And he was threatened with fine and jail time if he wouldn't comply. All right. He paid Chris Horton $425 to trim a few trees, pick up trash we need. And US 377 and Park Heights Road meet. And my question is, why was it up to him to pay a man that was recommended, I assume, by Amy Churchwell, to do this job when the city knows my fence line down Park Heights Road, or the city knows US 377, but they chose this area not to maintain. And I talked to this Chris Courtney face to face, and the man told me he met Amy Churchwell. She told him what she wanted, and that's what he would do. Now, I have copies of state law, and this mentions state law. State law recommends 50 feet from the roadway be cleared safely and fire breaks. Okay? State law says that the property owner has 10 days, and they can't have a hearing. And the last section, the provisions of this section shall not apply to any property zoned and used for agricultural purposes. That's what my land is used for. livestock in there. Now, my brother's property is on the west side. His property line goes plumb across US 377, Old 99 to my fence line. Amy Churchwell declared this property abandoned. Now, them Heifers don't think it's abandoned. They're in there, they go on that property. So I don't know where she's coming from, if the property is abandoned, or it is or not. And I'm feeling that area out where it can be grown. I just don't think it's right to force my brother to pay somebody to clean up that spot. And also, I've asked the city 3 times to clean out Wewoga Creek. There's a tree that fell across the creek on the Johns Park side. First time was back during the COVID, to go to the water office to ask the lady. She called the man called me back, said he would ask his boss. Next time I called, a man called me, said he couldn't find it. I met the man, showed him where it was. Okay, no, nothing ever happened. I went to the city manager's office, talked to Madonna. She said, didn't go talk to Baker. Well, I don't know what you care to. She said she would send Baker a message. Nothing has happened yet. It has eat out the bank on my side. I have fence that's just dangling, used to have T-posts, but they got stolen. They were just dangling in the air. So what I would like the city to do is hire a private contractor at an exuberant price, just like my brother was charged, and rebuild my creek bank back like it was. I'd have something, let's just see something done. At least clean the creek out.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to get with you after our meeting, if you're still here, or some other time, and at least get some of the information you have, just so I can understand a little more. We can't take action or anything. This is an opportunity for the citizens to speak, but I'd at least like to get a little more information from you.
Well, I asked to be on the agenda, I do understand. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. All right. And I'm going to mess up your last name again because I can't read it. Zach?
McLaurin.
Okay, McLaurin. Sorry, I will try to get that
You're
down.
perfectly fine. So just want to give you all a quick update. So we are definitely moving forward with the fiber project. So got the lines, or the crews all lined out. We actually had several meetings today, kind of putting those finishing touches on a lot of things. And we're still looking at the early to mid part of March for breaking ground. So things are moving full steam ahead. We're excited, and I know that everyone here is excited about that chance to have the fiber internet once we're able to get it all installed across there. So we'll look forward to working with you guys some more. If anybody ever has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to public hearing. Public hearing for a community development block grant. Oh, okay. Well, we'll move back, sorry. We have one before you. Yeah. Jay likes to throw all these in behind everything else, so. All right. Under appearances or petitions, we also have introduction of the Jimmy Austin Golf Course Association. So, I don't know who your speaker's going to be, but John Taylor.
Hello, my name is John Taylor, and I am the president of the newly founded Jimmy Austin Golf Association, although the world is known as JAGA. We're just a group of guys that have played golf out there, and we've gotten together and formed an association to help out the course. We're not in any way in competition with any other golf boards or anything. We're just a bunch of people out there, guys and men and women, that have got together and formed an association. We're going to put on several tournaments this year. I gave everybody a packet that we have that we sent out to all of our members. It tells a little bit about you know, who we are, what we stand for, what we're trying to accomplish, promote the game of golf within the community, bring more people to our course, improve it any way we can. You know, we're just here to help. You know, any way we can make the course better, then that's our, you know, basically our goal, to do the game of golf. You guys can read through all the, you know, we have listed our officers and our board members on the page there. And hopefully, when you get further down in the meeting, we'll do some things. You'll go over there, it's online, it'll be 13 or at the end. But hopefully some money will be reappropriated back to the course, you know, to do some things. We've got several fundraising deals going on within our association already, where we can help fertilize fairways, rebuild tee boxes, just anything we can do across the board out there to help. We sent out over 100 membership forms, and hopefully we'll have, you know, 100 back. In a perfect world. Like I said, we just want to introduce ourselves to the city council, and we're just here, just like I said, to help. We're not here in any other fashion, just to make the course better. We all love playing golf out there, and it's a big part of our lives, and that's what we're here for. Do you have any questions?
I have a comment, and not to downplay the older guys, but what I'm excited about is you have a lot of young people involved with this as well.
Yes, sir.
Because, you know, they're the future down the road, and
That's
so
what it's
having them
about.
involved is
If you
great.
look through our members and everything, they range from the older guys at the older end of the spectrum to the younger guys, you know, the 20, the mid-20 guys. We tried to cover every group out there and really try to bring everybody together. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with our Thursday nights, but on Thursday nights we have a scramble. And we started out 2 years ago, we had 30 people a week. Last year we had 52 people a week on Thursday night. And we had a high of 80 people on a Thursday night. So that's a pretty good number for, you can get 80 people together and have a good time, play golf on a Thursday evening. Pretty special.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question. So, when you say there's, you know, the guys, a bunch of guys, are there any ladies?
Yeah, there's men
Ladies
and
Golf
women. I thought I said
Association?
that. If I didn't, I'm sorry, yeah. We have several women that play every week, every Thursday. We already have 3 women that have sent back actually 5 women have sent back their forms to be members. And it's open to everybody. If you can swing a club, you can be in our association. So-
And the board is, right here, I was looking at this article. So the board will be made up of people who are in good standing, so you have to be a member first, then you can be on the board. So that hasn't been established yet?
Yeah, we've established our board, we got together and established that. And when we have a meeting, we usually have it once a month. Every member of the association has an equal voice. You know, the more ideas we have, the more people involved, the better, the stronger we'll be. So it's not a coup or just like a group of guys. It's just everybody that wants to be a part of it is more than welcome to come and join and be a part of the association.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
All right, with that, we'll move on to public hearing. Public hearing for a community development block grant for assisting with a street project.
Hello, I'm Samantha Stanfield. I'm the grant writer with the City of Seminole. And the community development block grant funds are from Housing and Urban Development and administered by the Oklahoma Department of Commerce. The subheading of this community development block grant is community revitalization. There is a potential under this grant to complete a street project in a low to moderate income area or neighborhood. The City of Seminole is 51% low to moderate income and therefore qualifies for the grant. The exact location will depend on citizen participation. The grant maximum is $300,000. Points are given to communities that provide leverage funds. We will be visiting with council in the future once the streets are identified. Are there any questions from council or the public?
I have a question. I'm sorry, you probably said this. How are the streets identified, or is that's the process?
Yeah,
That
we're
you're gonna be
still
working?
going out and and getting quotes to see which works with which neighborhood.
Are you able to take, like suggestions on ones to look at, or is it, who's, I guess I'm just asking, like, who is identifying them, and then you're looking at the cost for each of those? Is it someone just driving around and looking for potholes, or?
Yes. First, good job. Proud of you.
Thank you.
So there's what we call grantsmanship. She mentioned that it's a competitive grant. So one of the things that makes it competitive is who serves the most low and moderate income people. So when we start looking at streets, we're trying to visualize, when we do the income survey, who's going to maximize our points, so that when we turn it in and we're judged against Wewoka and Pryor and Putnam City, who are we going to compete against the best? So in order to get the most low and moderate income people, we do basically a drive through the community and say, all right, these roads need help, and in order to get the most points, we think this street is going to fare the most favorably. So that's as scientific as we get. And I would note that the things like nursing homes, they're automatically qualified as low and moderate income if they're in a nursing home. So those magnify how we're able to get scoring. So places like that, a housing authority, much the same. So we try to identify the things that are going to help us the most. And it's just your staff trying to decide what's going to give us the best potential. We have submitted less competitive grants before and not been funded. So we've learned the hard way through the School of Hard Knocks how to play this. And that's where our grantsmanship comes in, and she's very good at it. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I have another question. So the reason why my feelers kind of perk up on this one is because in the budgeting process, when we look at things like repairing streets, that's kind of, we all have the ability to weigh in on what streets in our wards kind of need the most or the highest priority. So $300,000 is amazing. Like, that's going to really help us. That's going to help alleviate that process. So yes, great job. Good luck. But I guess, my question is, will we have a chance to look at the ones that have been identified and make suggestions, or
It's
in that
not,
process?
we won't be turning in the application until end of March.
Okay.
So once that is identified, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
In advance, if you have a specific street that you want us to evaluate, absolutely. We're wide open to any suggestions. Keep in mind that it's not just the low and moderate income percentage, but the volume. So the more people that you're serving is also part of what makes it competitive.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will close the public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant. We'll move on to approvals and acceptances. Under bids, surplus. Item 1, consideration and possible action to approve accepting the sole bid of $6,976 from Commercial Bus and Vehicles LLC for 2 surplus ambulances, 2010 Ford E350 and a 2013 Ford E350.
Motion to approve.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
What's the thinking? Will we use these to strip these down? Of buying 10-year-old, yeah.
Chief, you want to
Yeah,
address?
this is our old transfer ambulances, and we've got 3 new ones since then.
Are we taking everything out of it that's of value?
We stripped everything down.
I mean, that's why we're buying them, just to strip them down?
No, we're selling them.
We're selling them.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. It's the others that we're buying.
These are worn out. Yes,
Excuse
sir.
me.
I'm sorry.
Does the box go with them? The box and the chassis?
They're the van style, we use them.
Oh, yeah.
Each one have over 270,000
Right.
miles.
Hey,
I thought the same thing.
Okay, so we have that on.
No, it's on the others. It's on it.
Did we have
others we're
we had a?
buying.
Yeah, the second already.
Roll call, please.
Jim Popham?
yes.
Larry Church?
Yes.
Trace Connor?
Yes.
Chris Hansen?
Yes.
Eddie Foreman?
Yes.
Dana Miller?
Yes.
John Kramer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 2, consideration and possible action to approve the sole source bid for a replacement slide for the splash pad from Power Play at an amount of $31,920 to be funded from the May 2022 tornado insurance proceeds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Jim Popham?
Yes.
Larry Church?
Yes.
Trace Connor?
Yes.
Chris Hansen?
Yes.
Eddie Foreman?
Yes.
Dana Miller?
Yes.
John Kramer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can I make a comment on that, Mr. Mayor? So, just so everybody's forewarned, the Power Play Group, the reason that they're a sole source is because they're specific in the way that the fixtures go into the ground. They're who originally built that, so we pretty much have to go back with their system to be able to make it fit. And they're about 6 months behind, so when we order it today, we're gonna be looking at hopefully July. We're actually hoping June, but that slide probably will not go into play until late summer, mid to late summer. So we're gonna have some fountain work, but probably not the slide.
Okay. Item 3, consideration and possible action to approve the purchase of 2 shipping containers to be placed at the Seminole State College baseball fields and reconstructed and refitted as concessions at a cost of $50,500 from proceeds of the May 2022 tornado insurance reimbursement funds.
So I got out here, one of the dangers of Sharon not being here is that half of my mind is gone from the room. So I got here without my laser pointer, but I did have, Sean did an excellent job of giving us a rendering. That's an actual overhead view of what we're going to be talking about in this project. So I think I sent out an email to you that indicated that the price tag for restoring our Little League baseball fields was going to be around $790,000, probably a little bit more than that when some of the other things are included. And the reason for that is the lighting. Most of that, about $690,000, is the lighting from Musco. It's just incredibly expensive. So we tried as a staff to develop a plan B, and we've come up with a plan, and we've kind of breached this or approached this with the Seminole State College Foundation. If you're not aware, there's a brand new baseball complex out on our northwest side. It's beautiful, and the kids are chomping at the bit to play on it. Fortunately for us, the 2 fields in the right, I guess you'd call it the lower and right, those 2 fields are lit. They actually have lights on them already. And so one of the challenges that we had last year, you'll recall this happened in May, the tornado happened May 4th. It was getting dark, and they really couldn't play the full league season that they needed to. They ended up trying to bump some of the softball facility around and maneuver. Fortunately, that they work well together so far. But it became pretty evident early that we were going to have a plan. So our plan is to move the Seminole Youth Baseball out to the new facility and play on turf grass. What that means is there will no longer be rainouts, there will only be lightning delays. so their season will go much quicker. They'll be able to play on the lit fields the vast majority of the time. At the top, between, you'll recognize that as a soccer field, and the one on the east is the high school, proposed high school baseball field. There's a very small field, and that was funded by the Vetus Foundation, and the plan would be to use that as a T-ball field. So you talk about an upgrade, those kids are going to think they're in Yankee Stadium. So we're really excited to be able to have that. It's just kind of a wonderful miracle that this thing was already in place, and it's not something that the city's looking at having to build as an alternate site. Let me explain what you're seeing in the picture. In order to make it operational for the youth baseball and for our kids and the community and the visitors that come to see it, that come to play here locally, and what I mean by that is sometimes we pick up teams from Shawnee and Prague and Wewoka and Sissaquah. Sometimes Maud will come and play in our league. This is different than what we will be doing on the weekends. The weekends will be reserved for, I'm going to call it tournament baseball, where travel teams come from Arkansas and Texas. So all we're talking about tonight is preparing this for the local league. So you'll notice that there are orange areas and also in your legend out here to the side. That orange area near the middle ball field is a concrete pad. And the reason that we want to pour that concrete pad is we would like to set up a concession stand, and this would be in the function or in the form of a shipping container that has been converted for specifically the concession stand area. So that pad will hold a shipping container that is renovated to be a concession stand for our local league. In addition, just below that, you will see another small pad, and that small pad is going to be for restrooms. The only restroom facility on that complex isn't even in the frame here. It's uphill and approximately, I don't know, it's not quite half a mile, but it might as well be.
Walking from here to the armory.
Yeah, it might as well be. Yeah, it's a good analogy, John. It's like from here to the armory, uphill to go to the bathroom. So we're going to try to set a pad and some porta potties there. Now, one of the things that I showed you in your packet is we're planning on framing those up similar to what we've done at the Boomtown Playground. We want it to be very attractive. It needs to be appealing, not just for us, but for the out-of-town visitors. So even the concession, even though it's going to be a temporary or a storage container, we're going to put brick on the outside of it so that it looks professional and attractive. In addition to that, we need some storage space. We need to be able to do some things. Even though they're turf fields, there's still some maintenance stuff. For example, pitcher's mounds. Occasionally, we'll have softball games out there. We have to be able to pull those pitcher's mounds up and put them somewhere that they don't walk away. So in the gray area, it's in your legend, and just above the just above the middle field, just north of the middle field, you'll see a gray line with a yellow container at the end of it. We want it kind of out of sight, but we want it accessible. If you walk out there today, that's all mud. And so we're going to pour some concrete, if approved. We'll pour concrete and another storage container that's bricked. So all of those containers are going to look attractive. So we believe that we can do this in-house and do it for around, what's my number, $50,500 versus $790,000 and we can't even get it ready for this season. So this gives us a great plan B, in my opinion, for our kids this year. We do intend to continue to use the Blake Auld Complex, or what some will know as the old Little League facility. Those will be practice facilities, so they'll be able to still utilize them and get their practices in. But to a large degree, all the games, or vast majority of the games, are going to be played here. Part of that $50,500 will buy us some light trees. What's the official name, Chief? The light generator poles. Light tree. Does everybody know what I'm saying when I say a light tree? Okay.
No.
Okay, so it's basically a gas generator, a large gas generator that has a tree of lights or a stand of lights that come out of the top of it. You probably saw them during the tornado when we had them downtown, that shine light, basically for security reasons. This allows us to put the lights on the little field, the T-ball field, so that they'll be able to play, especially in the early season when it gets dark real early. They'll be able to play T-ball on those little fields under those light trees, rather than trying to erect a $150,000, $180,000 light pole. We're just going to buy some temporary stuff that can get us through, and that's what part of the $50,000 request will do, is get us some light trees for the T-ball fields. Other than that, I don't think I left anything out, but this helps us. In addition, we will be looking at leasing the complex. I think they gave us very favorable terms. So the plan is we will utilize the fields Monday through Thursday, so it allows them to have their big weekend tournaments, which they're going to make more money from them than they will us, for $12,000. So we're going to lease it for $12,000, but we're only being able to play Monday through Thursday. The only caveat to that is that field of their own for our, help me.
League of their own.
Thank you. League of their own. We'll be using that tiny field, and that's really what Avitas built that for, was a league of their own. And they'll be using that every Monday. So our T-ball will not be able to use Monday nights, but I think that's a great program anyway. So it'll be used and really neat. And I just need to thank the Seminole State College Educational Foundation for being cooperative. I think the price that they gave us was outstanding. For $12,000 a year, we're going to have a phenomenal turf surface for our kids to play on. So we're looking forward to it if you guys approve it. So that's all I have now.
Baseball will be very good to us. What about the complex here, just down the road? Those ball diamonds and stuff, will they still be functioning like they are now?
So you're talking about the softball quad?
Right down.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a softball quad. It's dirt infields, and that's typically, you can identify softball fields by dirt infields. And they do a great job. We're pretty pleased with the number of teams that are signing up, and those will remain softball fields. Now, in terms of, is your question about damage to those fields?
No, my question is, somehow or another, I got the impression that this was going to be in lieu of what we already have that we can't afford to fix or don't want to spend the money on.
Okay. All right. So if you're familiar with the Euler Park area, you know where Euler Field is. So there are Little League fields, baseball fields located around that.
Right.
All of that was heavily damaged. The concession area was destroyed, the restrooms area downhill were destroyed. Much of the fencing was in a problem, and all of the lights were destroyed. So only that complex is what we're talking about, using this as a.
I've got it. Thank you.
Mayor, I have many questions. So is this already built? This is a,
Yes, ma'am, that's an actual aerial. The only things that are not built are the colored items in that legend. Those are the things we are proposing to do.
and who owns this?
The Seminole State College Educational Foundation.
Okay. So the city council has not approved moving the Blake Auld fields permanently to this.
Negative.
So what you're asking, I think, or what you're proposing is that we take the tornado damage insurance money to fix Blake Auld, and instead of doing that, purpose it to this area, correct?
Yes.
But the ball fields would still be used for the teams to practice on.
For the local teams to practice on, correct? I'm very concerned about this being, you had mentioned that we get a lot of visitors, outside visitors for these tournaments and outside teams that come to play during regular season. What does that have we looked at what that does for tourism for the city of Seminole? Because if you have those on the outskirts of town, people are able to, if they're coming from Shawnee, they're coming from Tecumseh, Prague, different areas, they don't have to come into town to go there. Blake Auld fields, they actually have to come into the center of town, which gets them closer to our downtown area, which gets them closer to our restaurants here. So if we're proposing to move that away and onto the outskirts of town, has anyone looked at or considered the fact that this is going to draw tourism and dollars away from the city?
Well, except we have a new motel going into town. We'll have a family fun center out there. I mean, there's things to try to keep them here instead of going back to Shawnee. You're right, they're not necessarily going to be down at the ball fields, but they still have that opportunity to come into town to the restaurants if those are full. I mean, they're a mile and a half away. I mean, it's not that far, but it's really about what can we afford to do for the kids right now to get them to be able to play. And, it is a nice asset for the city. It is in the city limits. It's not outside the city limits. So, unless we can afford to fix those fields to where they can play at night, I mean, I guess we'd have tournaments on the weekends, but not in the evenings, and they wouldn't be playing, which they typically do when we have the full tournaments here. So, I mean, that's the struggle, is trying to figure out, if we want to keep it where it's at, then we have to come up with a lot of funding to be able to do that.
And Mayor, I appreciate that. What I do think, though, is if we're talking about $790,000, where did you get that estimate? And then two, shouldn't we have the opportunity to, through the budgeting process, to see if we want to put that towards Blake Auld to fix it, in addition to the tornado damage insurance money? So the $790,000, where did that come from?
Okay. I'm going to give you rough numbers. I didn't bring the full setup, but I do know that the Musco lighting from Shawnee Lighting Systems was $690,000 by itself just to repair what we lost. And then you're going to be looking at a minimum of probably $55,000 to $60,000 for the concession area to be rebuilt, and then the restroom facilities on top of that. And I think we could probably do most of the fencing in-house. So, I think around $790,000 is going to be just for materials and things on top. that we would need to bring back in, chemicals, things like that, that we're gonna need to use. So 790 is a good figure, rough number.
So there hasn't been a request for a proposal for a bid to fix all of those things out there, correct? That's just research that you've
No.
done on your own?
Well, we've not competitively bid it. We have asked people to give us prices. So that's what we're going off of, is the contractors that gave us prices.
Okay. May I have another question?
Sure.
So you talked about the lease, and $12,000. Who would we lease that to? And has that process already been started? Because you already have a dollar amount. It sounds like maybe a proposal has already gone out for that?
So we're talking about leasing from, not leasing to.
Mhm.
So the city would be leasing these fields from the Educational Foundation. And
So
that
we would be,
price-
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That price came from them to us.
Okay, so we would be paying them $12,000 a
Yes.
year to have those tournaments and things there? For use
The
of it,
league.
or the league?
League.
Okay. Mayor, I would like to ask that we have more consideration and discussion, because I'm a little concerned that I feel like we're already voting on, or there's an item on the agenda that has us paying for things to augment this existing property before we even consider doing away with what we already have. And I don't know if that's a motion to table this until we have more information.
It would be a motion. to
It would be a
table
motion.
if that's-
So,
But if we do that, they won't play this year, right?
We won't have time to get it ready. That's
Right.
right.
but they could play if because you said the lighting was the biggest issue. We could rent or purchase those, what did you call them? The lights with the box?
Yeah, the light stands or light
Mhm.
trees. So the reason that we're talking about light trees is for the little kids, where the ball is moving 20 miles an hour. When you get into 8 years old and above, that thing is cracking at you, and you can't put enough foot candles high enough without blinding somebody. You can't put enough foot candles on the field without blinding them and be safe.
I just feel, even if it does move the season back, I just feel for the city, this just draws so much away from the center of our city. Again, away from downtown district, from our local restaurants and established shopping areas. And I think it just needs to have more consideration. So,
Well, most of our out-of-town teams aren't from Shawnee or Tecumseh. They're more Moss, Holdenville, Walika, from the
That's
east
not-
side, not the west side. Because they have leagues, they have 2 leagues over there, Lincoln County League and the Pot County League. So most of our stuff comes from the east.
Do we get some from as far away as Chickasha and places like that?
Well, probably in tournaments, yeah.
Downtown.
We've had teams come from Okema and play in the league. I don't know why.
I've talked to 2 restaurant owners, and they say they know when something's going on out there at the complex, because they said their business is double. Just because it's a mile and a half out of town, it's still in city limits. And I understand, I wanted to redo the old Boiler Ballpark. I mean, that was my dream, but boy, when you start looking at the numbers, you know, gotta look at the numbers.
I think that's my point, is we haven't looked at the numbers. We don't have anything in front of us.
$720,000?
790, actually.
Yeah.
And there was no proposal sent out for bid. There's no numbers in front of me unless I don't have an attachment that's in front of me.
Let's take a vote to table it.
We have a motion on the floor. do
Yeah,
we
it's
not?
approved.
Did you make?
No, we have a motion, wasn't there a motion to approve this already, Chet?
Was that a motion?
No, there is no motion on the
No,
floor.
she has not made a motion, so I don't think.
Okay.
Well, I moved here from a larger town. 1.5 miles. Nobody thinks about it in terms of that when you go to Oklahoma City or Norman or places like that. 1.5 miles just down the street. So for people who are coming here to visit from out of town, I don't know that they wouldn't drive downtown to eat.
Well, they're not gonna drive to Tecumseh if they could go 1.5 miles and eat in Seminole.
Well, I know that, but an entrepreneur may start putting up things out there. And so in future, I would see it as being more of a threat to downtown brick and mortar restaurants, but we don't have that many anymore. Since COVID came, it just sort of wiped them out. And I don't know that they're ever coming back to downtown. I don't see the downtown area, I mean, it's in our ward, and I don't see it as being a commercial center in the future. I do think it's gonna be a place where you can have restaurants and specialty shops and things like that. And if we can promote enough of those things to draw people downtown to see some art, to see some, whatever. I'm not, I don't want anything to do with the restaurant business. I grew up in it for part of the time, and it's hard work. It's hard work. And y'all know that I'm immune to that. But I think that makes a good point. I hate for us to not have baseball for the little kids until next year. That's all it is.
That's my problem, is knocking these kids out of a year's worth. Man, when I was a little kid, I looked forward to that. We had 2 girls on our team. They looked as much forward as we did.
I know one thing, I coached Little League baseball for my kid ever since he was, 4 years old, 5 years old, all the way through 12 or whatever. We had spring sports, spring baseball. We had how many games scheduled? 12, 13, whatever. We probably played 5 because of the rain. Never could finish the season because of the mud. We were out there, we were pumping the water off the fields, we were squeeging the fields, we were doing all this stuff just to get one game in. This thing up here, you don't have to do none of that. You will finish your season. You will not have games that are rained out. We played in a little T-ball deal up there in Oklahoma City. Turf field, little T-ballers. We could hit it over the fence. Holy cow. Yeah. We never, I mean, our smiles, we wanted to go back and play that again. We didn't get to it. I think this is really special to hear. I want to make a motion, or I want to go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Mayor, I have a comment still. I don't disagree that this is outstanding. I don't disagree that it's, that it would be tough to have the season interrupted because of this. It was a natural disaster. That's something that we could control. But I do think that while what I'm hearing is that your primary concern is that there's a baseball game, I also think our business owners in town should also be considered. We're the city council, we're not the baseball council. And I really do think that our business owners should have time, and the downtown folks should have time to weigh in and visit with us. They are our constituents before we vote on something that I think is it's a pretty big issue. And I'm concerned, and I'm a little bit frustrated that this agenda item just kind of shows up just as matter-of-factly without us being able to have a discussion like this and being expected to vote with just a little bit of information.
What about the constituents, the little kids and their families are constituents?
So why I agree with that, absolutely. So if we had the chance to hear from our constituents, then we could make that decision. We haven't heard from the parents of the little kids, but we also haven't heard from the business owners. We haven't heard from anyone. We've heard an explanation from Steve, and that's it. And while I think it's, this looks great, my sons used to play baseball, I get it. But that's my concern, is we haven't heard from anyone. I'm not saying that we just do away with it completely, I'm saying we table it until we have more information. We have a chance to speak to our constituents, have them reach out to us, have a discussion before we make seems like to me a pretty big vote on making some major changes to our city.
This is not going to be written in concrete. It's 1 year, is that correct? 1 year. We can get those kids, then we have a year to work on exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. But I don't want to knock these kids out of a year over $60,000, $70,000. That's kind of where I'm looking at it from.
Well, Mr. Mayor, most of the constituents that we're talking about are locals. This is for a local season. Those people are not going to drive out of town to eat someplace. They're people that live here already. We're not worried about people from Walequa or anything like that. We're worried about citizens of Seminole, and they're not going to drive elsewhere to eat. If they're going to want to eat, they're going to drive to the same place they always do. So I don't see hardly any impact on the business owners downtown to have league play at this facility.
What percentage of league play versus tournaments? It's a lot more league play than tournaments,
Yeah,
right?
it's every night.
Every night.
Until we
Tournaments.
get lights on all the fields, it's every night, but, Fridays.
But it's Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday, yes, sir.
Some Mondays excluded.
And I'll apologize for not getting this put together sooner. We're just doing what we can. We're taking as many bites as we can, chewing them as fast as we can. And this was a lot of work to put even this together.
You didn't tell it Plan B.
With all the personalities involved to get it boiled down to something I could put in front of you. And so I apologize. If you tell me what information you'd like to have, I'll get it to you regardless of how we vote tonight.
What will be the consequence to the things that the negotiations that you made already and so forth, if we table it for a month?
None from my standpoint. I think the Seminole State College Educational Foundation, that offer stands firm, period. Now, what will happen is you'll have many other PREG or other leagues renting fields by the day. If they see weather coming in on Thursday night, they're going to call and say, we want to book that field for Friday or Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day it rains. Typically, now, our people are really good, especially the dads and John, are great at working those fields and having them ready maybe next day, probably 2 days later. So the fields will rent out from under us typically. That's one thing. Second thing is I think you will see a lot of our local teams that can afford it will sign up elsewhere. They're not going to go through another season where there aren't lighted fields. They're not going to try to get off work early at 3:30 like they were last year to make it to games. So I think you're going to have, and I don't venture a guess how many, but I would say those that can afford it will. And that's about the only real impact that I can see from delaying it.
So you're talking about $50,500 plus $12,000. So that's what we're talking about spending to have baseball for the little kids.
Yeah.
This
Plus
season.
12,000, I'm sorry,
Plus
12,000.
12,000.
That has not been approved, and that's not in this, so.
That'll be 62.5.
Yes, sir.
Right. And that will give us baseball to the little kids this year. And next year, we'll be looking at continuing this or getting our stuff together.
Yes, sir.
So that's-
My plan was to discuss that in the budget work sessions and everybody get to weigh in. Do we want to spend that money? And we'll have it papered up for you, obviously, for the repairs that need to be made. And you guys will have the decision on, is this where we want to contribute the money, or do we go back out there and try that again? So,
So it's kind of like our car's broken and we want to go on vacation this year and rent a car. And it's going to cost us.
a lot like that.
60, it's going to cost us 62.5, and we'll have those facilities still out there.
Yes, sir.
What happens with them?
Well, so, not on the picture, the college already has a container out there. You'll notice that that pad is large enough to host another yellow container. Their plan is to move that container down for their own concession stand to deal during tournaments. So the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they'll use their own. The answer to your question is the things that can be collected and moved, the light trees, the storage containers, those things will go with us wherever we decide to go.
But the structure's going to stay.
Well, the concrete.
Well, and you're going to brick in the
The porta
containers,
potties,
the
yeah.
shipping containers.
Any fixture that's into the ground will stay. The porta potties, they're paying for, they being the educational foundation, so.
We get some kind of kudos for donating to them at the end of the season.
I'm
Am I
sure
gonna get a
they'll,
free pass to a ball game here?
I'm sure they'll give you an award if you attend the baseball banquet, yes.
I understand it.
The proceeds from the concessions go to who?
Those stay with the Seminole Youth Baseball League. And
Not to the
typically,
college. During the week, when we're playing the little leagues, that money stays with the little leagues.
yes,
Doesn't go to the college.
right. If they decide to charge gate, they keep the gate. If they being the Youth Baseball Association, any of the concessions stay with youth baseball. And
Yeah, we don't
if you know
charge
enough
gate
about,
during,
yeah,
How
it
important are the concessions?
they pay
pays for the umpires.
See,
It's $508 a night, counting the umpires and the concession people, a night.
that's jobs that you won't have if you don't have ball games.
Right.
Sounds cheap to me.
I'm ready to vote.
Well, we have a motion on the table to accept this proposal made by Trace.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Potland,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
No.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 4, consideration and possible action to approve the purchase of a 2010 Pierce fire engine for $200,000 from Firemaster Fire Equipment of Springfield, Missouri, a budgeted capital improvement project, item to be funded from the Series 2010 bond proceeds. Would you like to come up and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is, so this will be replacing the engine from 1989. We just got rid of it. Actually, Strother Fire Department donated it to them. Some of our problems we've been looking for, since you guys approved it with the CIP items, we've been looking for an engine. Some of the problems we have are height restrictions in our bay doors. Nowadays, fire engines are being built a lot taller than 9'8", and so we found this one. The guy who sold it to us lives locally in McLeod. He called us up because he's been looking out for us. One of the good things about it is a 1,000-gallon tank. So this will give us 3 engines too. So we have our Tower 7, which is the 2007 engine, our 601 from 1998. from Quebec, Canada, so it's still out there. They had to change all the lettering out. It was in French. They have things in French and kilometers, so they're still working on it right now in Springfield. But we'll be happy to have it. That's definitely needed. So if you guys didn't see, we ran a fire at the church by City Hall recently. We got it knocked down really quick, but if that thing would have gone, we would have needed every engine in town to put that water out plus. So that's why these things are important, and also obviously our ISO ratings, which helps with your insurance. So, and that's coming up in 2 years.
What would be the life expectancy of this?
We'll see a lot of, departments, they take all their engines on medical calls, they rack up the miles. Here, we just only take them when they're needed for use, and it just uses out the medical call. So we don't have a lot of wear and tear on our engines. So like I said, one of them's 1998, it's still in pretty good condition. It's brand new. We take really good care. We keep up the maintenance and everything ourselves. So I would say at least 15, 20 years.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Holland,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 5, consideration and possible action to approve the low bid of $9,412.08 from Johnson Fitness and Wellness for the purchase of 3 new cardio weight machines for the Reynolds Wellness Center, a budgeted capital improvement project item to be funded from the Series 2010 bond proceeds.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Holland,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson, Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 6, consideration and possible action to approve the low bid of $19,249.65 from Seminole Chemicals and Supplies, Inc. for the purchase of 35 air purifiers for city facilities via a reimbursable community development block grant. You want to remind us of this?
We breathe clean air,
Yeah.
and somebody else is paying for it.
We had chosen on this to go out for bids. I believe it's the last.
You wanna
Sharon's
talk-
not here, so I know you don't.
Let's let our grant, you want to talk about our air purifiers through the community block grant?
Was the question on the other bids?
No, it was just about, just kind of letting the citizens, everyone know what this actually is and maybe the process.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is, I am coming in at the end of this one, so I'm not as familiar as Sharon would be, but it's a CDBG CV3, and these are bids for air purifiers. And there were three bids that were submitted, and this one is the lowest and the best.
And this is fully funded from the block grant.
Correct, yes.
Any questions?
Where are these air purifiers going?
Okay. Is that-
There are 30. Give me just a moment, I apologize. There are 35 of them, and they are going in all of the, from the fire department to the library, to the police department, to City Hall.
What kind of maintenance is that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
What kind of maintenance will they require?
You know that I do not know. I can find out the answer to that question and report back. I'm not sure if they'll need a filter change. Steve, do you happen to know?
I do not. I'm not familiar. I'm assuming there'll be filters that need to be changed, but other than that, I don't think it's like a dehumidifier where they need to be emptied, but probably the filters will eventually need to be replaced.
I was just looking at what the cost of that maintenance would be, and it's not budgeted, is it?
No, sir.
Maintenance on these?
No. But we wouldn't need that replacement until next fiscal year. Though,
Really?
yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please. Thank
Tim
you.
Poplin,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7, consideration and possible action to approve the low bid of $15,160 from Core and Main for 5 chlorinators and materials for water well, a budgeted CIP item to be funded from Series 2004 bond proceeds.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Under Resolutions, Item 8, consideration and possible action to approve Resolution Number 2023-01, a resolution affirming the City of Seminole commitment to the Department of Commerce's Community Development Block Grant funding.
Well, I guess this means we're gonna resolve to be happy about this, or what? I
But
don't quite understand.
it is
what-
something we do every year.
Oh, okay, I see.
And it's basically a resolution from the city affirming that our commitment to implementing
Block grant
and utilizing the
development.
block grant program.
Okay.
It's a prerequisite.
Yeah, there you go. That was easy. Should have let the attorney speak.
Move to approve.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And item 9, consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 2023-02, a resolution affirming the City of Seminole's commitment to implementing a citizen participation program for its 2023 Community Development Block Grant application. Of course,
Again, a prerequisite?
we just had a meeting, so we already have done something for 2023, so yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And the following 2 items will be the ones that we will need to table again. So again, under Resolutions 9A, consider and adopt a resolution relating to industrial development approving the incurring of obligations and indebtedness by Seminole Municipal Authority by entering into a replenishment agreement through the execution and delivery of a second supplement to replenish agreement by Seminole Municipal Authority, the Seminole Utilities Authority, and the Seminole Economic Development Council relating to the Seminole Economic Development Council's taxable special obligation tax increment refunding revenue bond series 2016 in connection with the Sigma project financing. Roll call, please.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
And 9B, consider and adopt a resolution approving the incurring of indebtedness by the Seminole Utilities Authority to provide funds to construct, equip, and operate a family entertainment and recreational center facility and retiring certain outstanding indebtedness of the Seminole Utilities Authority, consenting to the issuance of the bonds, evidencing the same, waiving competitive bidding thereon, approving a sales tax agreement and a project agreement relating thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Move to table.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
Under current business, item 10, consideration and possible action to approve the annual nutrition site agreement with New Age Project, Inc. for the Heritage House.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Popham,
Yes, sir.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Forman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 11, consideration and possible action to approve the recommendation from the Boomtown Rebuild Committee to select Cunningham Recreations as the vendor to rebuild Boomtown Playground.
Mayor, I just have a comment. One, I would just like to say, big ditto to the Boomtown Rebuild Committee, one for this recommendation, but also for all of the hard work that they do, volunteering their time. I had seen a fundraiser, that they had back in, I believe, it was for Christmas. Christmas trees and things like that they did, and I know that, just that alone, that one event probably took up, just a ton of their own personal time, and they're doing it for the city, so I just want to say ditto to them.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Popham.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Forman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 12, consideration and possible action to approve the request from the Seminole Urban Renewal Authority to allocate and reallocate specified sewer budgeted items.
Okay, so I handed out the revised letter. It's very similar to the first draft, but we've got with us the chairman of the Urban Renewal Authority. So Ms. Claudia Willis is with us tonight to correct me on anything I get out of line on. So I tell you what, our crew has been working overtime on code enforcement. And that largely is at the direction of the city council, and that you guys want this community to look appealing. And so they have got 25 homes that need to be abated in many respects. And Brad corrects me on the word abated often. But I'm going to put it in layman's terms and tell you there's 25 that need to be torn down 2 weeks ago, and we've got about 30 on the books that are going to need to be torn down next week. So they've got a bunch of these places that are, let's call them eyesores, that need to be taken down. The real issue is there's really not the kind of money that they need in the budget to do that. Last year, I think you gave them $140,000 to make a big splash. They did not spend all that money because we didn't have all the hearings and things that had needed to be taking place done. So then, about the time we were ready to reappropriate that money, the tornado hit. So you guys really stepped up and said, look, here's $750,000. And the discussions that you all had were that we'd really like you to kind of rebuild downtown, take this money, $750, and do what you can to rebuild the Main Street area, the downtown district. Well, this letter, and I'm going to try to encapsulate it both for you and the public, but this letter says, you know what, we are doing everything we can to get underway with the downtown rebuild, but we've got pressing issues on the immediacy that we need money to take down structures to make our community sparkle. And what we would like to do is to take from the allocation, the $750,000 allocation that you gave us for the Main Street area, the downtown district, and allocate a portion of that. There's a number in here. Help me out, Sean. What's the number? How much are we wanting to mute? 120,000. We'd like to use $120,000 of that $750,000 to tear down structures. And even though we know you can't promise us because the new council will take seats in April, we would like some sort of an understanding that you would put that 750,000 back in place in the next fiscal year, because there are people that they're talking to, they being the Urban Renewal Authority, are talking to, and they're expecting the $750,000 to be there to rebuild part of the Main Street area. So I guess what they're asking for is 120 now, with the understanding that next time you guys appropriate money into the next fiscal year, that you'll put that 750 back whole, so that they can carry out the first mission that you had, which was our business district, central business district. Okay, all right.
Any questions or comments?
I was wondering, could he repeat that?
You can go watch it on YouTube.
Your
later.
microphone was off, turn it
I
off.
motion that we reallocate $120,000 of the STAR funds to allow for dilapidated structures to be torn down. Is that right, or do we need to say it more? Should we reference homes, just structures is good? Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 13, consideration and possible action regarding the original appropriation to replace fencing at the Jimmy Austin Golf Course, and consider reappropriating remaining funds to other golf course assets.
Motion to approve?
Mayor,
Second.
sorry, I have a question. Is the fence just not getting replaced?
No, I was going to have Steve actually talk about that.
Got me paranoid now. Okay, so you may recall that I think the total appropriation was 220,000, not 250, but I think it was 220,000 to rebuild the fence that was torn down by the tornado. When we got the fencing company on site, they said, your fence is not in real bad shape. What we really need is new posts. So we spent a portion of that money, of the 220, to build the new posts and to re-erect the fence. And there were some areas that were destroyed, and those were also fixed. So I think what we're asking for now, and this is via our contractor, MM&H, that's who contracts to operate our golf course. And then I think behind them is the golf course crew that you met tonight, saying, hey, it did a lot more damage than just the fence. We lost greens, we lost a ton of trees. Would it be okay if we appropriate that money within the golf course? Basically, they're saying within the same scope of what you intended, but utilize it in a different way.
And the source of this money is insurance revenue?
To a degree, yes, but it was in the CIP budget.
We budgeted the fence.
Yeah,
didn't
we
we?
Yes.
budgeted the fence in it, yeah. Move to approve.
Second.
This is for this year's funding.
So we have a motion.
I'll second.
Two motions and a second.
Okay, there you go. That doesn't mean the two motions cancel each other out. All right, roll call, please.
Tim Poplin.
Yes, sir.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor. Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
With that, we'll move into remarks and inquiries of mayor and council members. We'll move to Ward 1, Larry Church.
It's getting late, let's go home. I thank everyone for all the hard work that they put in on getting this meeting organized and together, and I'm sorry your right arm wasn't here, but you did well.
Boy, it's hard.
You did well. So, thank y'all very much.
Ward.
Have a good night.
Ward 1, Dana Miller.
So welcome to Ward 1, everyone, and happy Black History Month. I did have one constituent issue, and my constituent is here, so thank you for coming tonight. And Steve, I forwarded that information to you and Mayor as well. Last week, I attended, and Steve was there as well, was a transportation meeting hosted by the Seminole Nation, and I really would have enjoyed for more folks to have been there to hear some of the plans that they're considering to expand transportation in the city and throughout the county. And listening to their presentations and proposals, I immediately could find lots of areas where the city can collaborate, or maybe should be collaborating with Seminole Nation on these efforts. I think transportation in the city is, I realized during that meeting that we only have public transportation just through Heritage House. So I got really excited learning that, there could be a possible route established through town where people that, there's vans or buses would be running every 15-20 minutes. People can, take those to the store, to the doctor, wherever they need to go. So sounded great. I don't want to speak too much more about it because it was, I don't know a whole lot, but it was really exciting to learn about. So, if anyone is interested, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to Seminole Nation. Steve probably has the contact on who to get with on that, but definitely some opportunities for collaboration to increase the opportunities for transportation in our city. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 2, John Kramer.
I don't have anything.
Ward 2, Eddie Foreman.
I'll pass as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Good, you guys are preserving time for me, so. Ward 3, Tim Poplin.
Everybody gets a lot of thanks, but I want to thank Matt. He's always right there. Anytime that we need a place to settle and just watching these kids, what they do out there and enjoy it. And anywhere you go, this place is clean, and I just want to say kudos and thank you, sir, for what you do for this community. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Ward 4, Chris Hansen.
My only issue was, while I don't expect people to get out and put their lives in danger during bad weather and icy roads, was the fact that our trash service was down for some time. Was it the entire town or just a couple of locations? I know mine wasn't picked up for 2 weeks, so we went 3 weeks without a pickup. And I understand extenuating circumstances, but the roads weren't bad for 2 solid weeks. I didn't see them running on the weekend to catch up the routes. If that happens, where people have no place to take their trash and it accumulates on the side of the streets, I think that's ridiculous. I know we weren't the only community because they pick up in Shawnee, and I saw it in Shawnee as well. In my opinion, when that happened, they should have brought some roll-offs and set somewhere for people to take their trash if they couldn't get it picked up. But I'm very displeased with this new trash service right now. That's ridiculous, and there wasn't even any notification put out as to what was going on. So I hope in your manager's report, maybe there's an update on what happened with all of that. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, but,
Anyway, I agree. I saw the same thing.
Thank you. Ward 4, Trace Connor.
I just want to remind everybody that the prom's coming around, so that prom thing, if you haven't already donated, there's still time. March 23rd, 6 p.m., they'll do the doors. If you're unfamiliar with the prom thing, it's a lock-in, and it basically saves our kids so they don't go out and have fun outside and have problems like we used to. Really want to thank the council for considering the golf and, of course, reappropriating those funds. The greens out there are horrible. A lot of the golfers I've talked to says they're not coming back if we don't get the greens fixed. So it was very imperative that we got that reallocated with this. There's also 300 and something trees we lost out there. We're going to try to get some more trees back. And like I said, we got a lot of things planned. So thanks for redoing that. And, hope everybody got their Valentine's today. That's all I got.
Thank you. I want to cover, so trash, mine didn't get picked up for the whole week, so it was 2 weeks before it was picked up.
Three weeks
So
this time, so
I was a little disappointed in that as well, that the weather was clear after a few days, and yet, they just didn't make it around, so don't quite understand that. And thank goodness they picked some up, but today was a horrible day because trash cans were blowing over and trash going everywhere. So it was a mess today. I really want to talk about a dog problem that we have in the city of Seminole. I've received several calls from one of the mailmen. Actually, he's on my route, so I've encouraged him to let me know. And he said it's as bad as he's ever seen it. Dogs running wild. He saw a guy get bit. Although they had picked up a dog the day before that tried to bite him, the guy was walking home. He just happened to be there, and the place had a second dog that ran out and bit him. And so something has to happen in Seminole. I know that we are a no-kill facility, but that doesn't excuse the fact that we have dogs running wild and are attacking people, and they're not getting picked up like they should. So I'm going to propose next month that we get a committee back together to discuss the issues and figure out what we can do to help solve that problem. I don't want to punish those that are responsible dog owners. You know, that's not the goal. The goal is to punish those that are not responsible dog owners that have several dogs chained up or they let them run loose and risk injury to our other citizens. So, you know, I think enough is enough. And in fact, you know, the mailman can basically put a block, the whole block. They're not going to get any mail if they choose to do that. And he's been kind enough to keep letting me know and not do that, because that, again, that punishes those that are responsible owners. And so, you know, next month, I'm going to want that on the agenda so we can get that committee together. And so I'll be looking for people that would like to volunteer to be on that committee, and citizens as well. Again, the goal is not to punish responsible dog owners. It's to punish those that are not responsible. There should be some penalties that they have to pay. And you know, I don't want to see dogs put down. I love dogs, but you know, they should have the option to either keep them in their house, keep them in their yard, in a fenced yard. You know, so we'll see what the committee comes up with, but it's not right. You should be able to walk down the street and not worry about possibly getting bit by a dog. So anyway, that's kind of my rant, because you know, he said we're getting to be like, and I won't mention the town that he said because I don't want to offend them, but you know, he said it's as bad as he's ever seen it. So anyway, with that, we'll move on. Well, one, my wife's not watching, so I'll still wish her happy Valentine's. But with that, we'll move on to reports from our city manager, Steve Saxon.
Thank you. Congratulations on your win tonight.
Well, I didn't know. I haven't checked in, so thanks for spoiling it for me. I was going to look it up and see later.
All right. So a lot of great things going on in our community. If you're not aware, there are 27 new homes that have been started behind the Seminole State College. A couple of them already have been framed up, so it looks different. I mean, you talk about wild change out there in 2 years. It's quite a process what's happening. We had a great visit from Stephanie Bice over the last couple of weeks, and she came to talk about the new water tower that will be constructed. So with our grant team, we're putting it into place. We don't know exactly when that money's coming down the pike. I'm not sure the Congresswoman did either, but it certainly seems to be in play, and we've done a lot of good things to get us to that point. Namely, you all letting us do the pre-engineering. That is such a big deal when we can pull those plans off of the shelf and say, yes, we're ready to spend money tomorrow. And we are. So I had the privilege of being able to meet with the young professionals, many of which are in this room tonight. What a cool group of people. I mean, these are going to be the people that take the reins, and I can't be more excited about that because they're amazing, and they're asking the right questions, and they're wanting the right information. So it just completely energized me and got me going. Really, really good stuff. I too enjoyed the transportation meeting. I thought you were gonna hit the big bell, which is, currently we are studying a bus route for the city of Seminole. So this is a public transportation that anyone can ride, around Seminole. So I got the feeling that we're pretty close if we can come to some agreements on partnerships and man, that's a big thing. It's a huge, huge thing. So we're pretty excited about that. Brown O'Haver continues to work on our behalf with the insurance battles. If you have been on the street in Seminole, you've met someone that's fighting insurance battles. Man, it's thank goodness we've got Brown O'Haver. They called today and had reached some resolution on some of the roofing things, and we're expecting a check here pretty quick. So it's accumulating slowly, meaning that the funds that the insurance company owe us are trickling in, and Jay's got a good handle on what's coming in and where it needs to be allocated. But the team is kind of deciding the priorities now, and we'll be bringing those back to you. Trash service, yes, frustrating, absolutely. I'm not happy. I thought it was just me. I thought I was the last one to get trash service, but apparently not. This is not a defense, but they did crash one of their trucks on the way over during the ice storm, and that was out of service, so they were a full truck down, and that is crippling for a town our size. So they were trying to maneuver. They're not a large company, all right? This is not the same as Waste Connections or someone like that, a BFI or someone that's huge and can maneuver trucks from Dallas up here. So you're right to be frustrated. We're frustrated. We have expressed our frustration, and I think they've gotten the picture loud and clear. Cowan Engineering, we're working with an engineering firm to help alleviate the parking issue for EnviroSystems. If you recall, the FAA taxi grant that we're getting will be taking about 1/3 of Enviro's parking spaces. So we're asking the Economic Development Administration to jump in here and help us alleviate that parking problem. We also, our grant team has come up, when we read the grant and understood what the EDA sourcing was, they are very attracted to anything that's aviation education. So part of that grant that we'll be applying for is for a building to be placed at the airport for aviation education. So Cowan is working on that. In addition, we're kind of making a 20-year plan, maybe 15, well, maybe 5 years at the rate that we're growing out on the northwest side. We're asking Cowan Engineering to plan out for us the best scenario for sewering if that continues to grow and builds out quickly, which it looks like it is. So they're well on their way to getting a solution. We don't, of course, have any cost figures or anything like that yet, but as soon as we do, we'll get that out to you. Fielding and his crew went through the National Incident Management System, or NIMS. One of the things that we recognized after the tornado is there are ways that we can get better, okay? And if you're not trying to get better, you're backing up. And so one of the things that we did, we brought in the National Incident Management System to teach basically all of our firefighters. I don't know how many out of the total we got, but it was the vast majority have now been through the National Incident Management System, meaning that they now understand their role better, that your span of control is about 6 people. If you get larger than that, you're out of control. They did a great job of educating our people on how how do you keep chaos from getting out of control? And we didn't have any better training than a tornado on May the 4th to teach us how to deal with that. So good job, Chief. I've got a meeting on Thursday with our animal control. Our folks are coming to City Hall, and I'm going to meet with them. You're welcome to sit in with me. I love your idea of a committee. The more brains you get around the table, the better. But my meeting's scheduled with them on Thursday, so you're welcome to attend. And Mr. Post, we're working on a resolution for you. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. City Attorney Brad Carter. All right. Well, thank you for coming tonight. I know each of you had a part in things that were going on tonight. We appreciate the citizens' involvement in all the things that are going on. So with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All those